If you haven't heard about Anchor by Spotify, it's the easiest way to make a podcast, with everything you need all in one place. When hosting on Anchor, you can distribute your podcast on listening platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and more. And best of all, Anchor is totally free. Download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Hello, listeners, and welcome to Making It Make Sense with Isaiah, Jasper, and Theo. Make sure you go hit that like button, subscribe, and rate us on Spotify, Anchor, and Apple Podcasts. We put out new episodes weekly, so you want to make sure you don't miss a single thing. And while you're there, you can also leave us a comment or two. Or, if you want to reach us more directly, you can DM us on our official Instagram at Making It Make Sense with IJT, or you can also email us at makingitmakesensewithIJT@gmail.com.
What's going on, world, and welcome back to Making It Make Sense with Isaiah, Jasper, and Theo, Season 2. We're back.
We're black.
And we're melanated. And we're going to keep it that way.
Yeah. Hey, y'all. Welcome back to another episode of Making It Make Sense, Season 2. Tonight's episode, we're going to be talking about handling conflict in white spaces.
My favorite.
Mm-hmm. Isaiah's number one trending topic.
Oh, wow. Oh, God.
Isaiah, would you like to start us off?
Do us the honor. Yes, I was going to
we're just going to jump right in, huh? So, oh, man. I'm gonna say this because it's an authentic. I can't speak today, everyone, just so we're aware. I have a little bit of a speech impediment. I'm gonna say this because it's just authentic to me, and it's just been a lifelong experience. And and it's not necessarily. I also don't want to qualify necessarily what I'm gonna say, but I also want to be clear that if you know me and you're in my life, I've probably had this conversation with you anyway. So in some way, shape, or form. But so over the last 2 years specifically, but it's been a lifelong thing. But I think I reached this space where I've been feeling a level of contempt for white people. And there's two things about that, two strings about that for me. In one way, it's really it's difficult to say that, and me say that and it not come from a place where, or seem like it's coming from a place where it's just like, okay, so I like have this like visceral hatred or something, because that's not the case. But it's not even white people. It's I have a serious contempt for whiteness and white
people are annoying. They could be annoying in their whiteness and in their privilege.
And it comes from a place for me of having conversations, for example, where, so one of the things, and I said this last season, and I'm going to say it every season going forward, because I no longer believe, rather, at least in the last, actually, we're almost on year 3 of the pandemic, so I might as well say 2.5 years or so, but 3. But I don't believe in having convincing conversations. So for me, it normally turns into this. It turns into, I'm not gonna correct you. You figure it out on your own. I'm gonna allow you to be. I'll allow you on a certain level to be in a space with me, but I'm no longer correcting you, because you're going to go look like a fool in front of somebody else, another person of color, and they can correct you if they so choose and feel like it's their job to, right? Mm-hmm. And on the other hand, the other reaction sometimes is just like abject loathing of whoever says whatever it is, right? So or of the lack of sense that I feel like is involved in whatever comment it may be. For example, I feel like there are white people, and I don't know if this is in your lives necessarily at all, but there are spaces where you'll say something that is either factual or it is your own factual knowledge wise, or you're saying it speaking from your own experience. And for whatever reason, they feel the need to either discount or question whatever it is that you said, or correct whatever it is that you said, because if it's coming from you, and while they won't say that because it's coming from you, they must add to or correct something. And I'm here to say this: it is not your place to correct me. It is not your place to add to what I just said. It is not your place for me to say, if I say something like, I am addressing this space, or it's coming from, you know, for example, for us, it is where we celebrate Blackness, right? It is not your place to then add, and also, no, no, that's
zip it.
Right. It's okay to
just shut up. Yeah.
And this brings me to this point. It is okay to just listen to people of color, especially because we have spent how many years listening to your ass. So
bang, bang. That's so true.
It's okay if you shut up for 5 seconds and hear what your friend has to say. And let me be clear and say this. I am very blessed to have people in my life that do that. But there are also people that don't do that in the world, like that just will literally go above and beyond to discount whatever it is you're saying. And I probably sound very like irritated about it, because it's literally been going on my entire life. Like literally, like as soon as well, actually, no, not actually, Sally, shut up. I did not ask you. Okay. I am sharing what I feel about this. Not even what I feel. Like sometimes, like I said, it's factually based. But when it
you know what it is sometimes too? As people as Black people, we have been conditioned, we have been taught, it's been embedded in our DNA that when you are existing in white spaces, you are, what's a good way of how can I illustrate this with my words? We've been able to pick up on certain nuances and on certain cues, because those nuances and those cues sometimes were life and death.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So we knew sometimes not to say certain things in certain spaces, because it's not just as simple as you getting in trouble or you getting reprimanded. You were going to die. So Black people in this country learn to navigate those systems and navigate those spaces and navigate that part of our mind and our psyche in a way that white people have never had to. Black people, since conception, have been held accountable in a kind of way that white people have never been. And this is for all levels of Black people, young, old, light skin, dark skin, whatever. And so now in this atmosphere of growth and forward thinking and equity, white people are witnessing or dealing with things that we've been doing this. So what's your problem? And we survived and we've thrived and we're thriving and we're growing. What's your problem?
Right. And then it's like, you know, and I gotta say this too, like, you know, and for everybody listening, I'm sure you're probably going to notice that I'm sort of kind of using this as a venting session for, however, you know, Theo had said this earlier, like, this is Theo, Jasper, and Isaiah's house. Okay. So I'm going to emote and express.
Theo pays the rent, y'all. Theo pays the rent.
Don't leave it up to me. We're going to be in arrears.
Let me get this check. But no, you know, it's just like, sorry, I have to reorganize my thoughts here. But basically, it comes to a place where it becomes so frustrating that then you'll start looking sideways at everybody, like about that. And I think that's something that's also hard to admit, because if you say that in the wrong space, then it becomes conflated with, oh, so you're only reacting that way because of what you have experienced, not because I, as whoever that white person is actually doing anything. And it's like, actually, no, sometimes you are just doing little things and you don't even realize you're doing them because you've never had to think about that you've actually been doing those things. So, right.
That's the privilege. White privilege is a broad. I paint everybody with the same white privilege. White privilege is something that all white people have, and they all exist in that. Right. Now we have white people that opt into that and sometimes use their white privilege to highlight injustices and all this bullshit. But all white people live in that white privilege and in that white privilege mentality and in that isolated white privilege world where they speak a certain way, they behave a certain way, in a way that their Black counterparts cannot. So get over it.
And that's the other thing too, is like, you know, and again, like in saying this, and I don't have to say it really, because it's just, you know, it's our experience and it's how we feel, but
it's anecdotal, get over it.
But it's anecdotal 100%. But it's also like, you know, I guess because, and also, you know what makes it harder, and then I'll shut up a little bit about my experience. But I think what makes it more difficult is because I know that there are white, like I've experienced that there are white people, and not just allies, but co-conspirators that do act. Okay? Because just another announcement, ally is not enough. Co-conspirator is what we're looking for, not ally. Ally is, you say a couple of words and that's it. Co-conspirator is this. Co-conspirator is you, and I'm not going to say use, you weaponize your white privilege for people of color to advance or to protect them. For
every
example,
time, every minute, every second of every day, every year.
Publicly, not privately, but publicly.
Yep.
Yeah. Publicly and private, both.
But publicly is more effective. I need you to publicly do it, not just in the private of my home or our home. Or
but in saying that, Jasper, so all the way around, like 60, publicly, privately, personally, professionally, all across, right? Mm-hmm. So I'll give you an example of that. Exactly. I have a friend, one of my best friends. This is like a sister to me. Okay. Actually, this is referring to two people. Or my best friends are like my sisters. When we were and this is another example of some people that just already understood it before June of 2020, when some people just started going, oh my God, this is the problem. Like, and all that. Like, there's people that already got it. When we would drive anywhere that was a distance, or if it seemed like it was maybe like a backcountry place that maybe it's not a good idea for me to be driving, it wasn't even always where I thought of it first. Or I would think about it, but I might not say it first. They drove every time. If we drove down to Myrtle Beach, they drove literally and told me why. Like, it wasn't just like afterwards, like said, there's definitely certain states that you should not be driving through, or that you should not be in the driver's seat for. If you get pulled over, I even when I lived in Virginia, that's why I say it's so frustrating, because there are people that really get it. When I lived in Virginia, several white friends would intentionally, if we ever got pulled over, it was like that, like they would either like, okay, let me hear, I'm driving, I'm speaking, don't say a word, I got this. Like, there are people that know and that got it. And so that's why it is very frustrating for me to see, like, don't get me wrong, I'm glad the world blew open with this shit, please, because good, now it's your turn to be uncomfortable because we're tired, right? But like, there's people that knew 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, I can go on and on. There are people that are non-POC that got it already. So
because it's trendy now.
Right. And to me, miss me with the trendy bullshit where it involves ethnicity.
It's trendy for me to stand up for my Black friends and say, no, the white privilege stops here.
Honestly, like, and I don't want to, I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to hear that today. Okay, I want to hear that before. I don't, shut up now.
And that's where you're talking about the exhaustion and the contempt. We've been doing this. We've been known this. You are late to the party. We are now in a, and I am that way with white people. Like, I don't got time for your passive aggressive bullshit. I don't got the time for your racism or for, oh, I didn't know any better, or all these other underlying shit that you got to go deal with. I didn't got the time for it. We are so advanced that right now I can go speak to someone in Mumbai and get information about what's happening in Mumbai in real time. You can go educate yourself in some real life American issues that impact you, that you and your ancestors have perpetuated. Like that, I ain't got the time for it. This is like we've been stuck in the 4th grade this whole time, and now it was just time for us to graduate and to move on to something else. And if you are in your whiteness with your bizarre issues and your bizarre mannerism and your bizarre way of thinking, go fuck yourself.
Not bizarre.
Yeah, because that's what it is. It's a bizarre way of thinking that it just makes me feel like nasty and yeah, go fuck yourself. And we're moving forward. And if you want to be a forward thinker, you have to think forward. And a lot of people just don't, and just like, yeah. And it's disgusting. How about in Arkansas, Jasper?
Jasper, because I know I just was going off. Like, but what are your feelings about just conflict when it pertains to, the whiteness, either in your life, your professional life, your personal life, that kind of thing.
I concur with what Theo said. I don't have time for it. I don't have time. I'm not explaining nothing. I'm not educating nobody, no white person. I'm not doing it. I don't do it, and I'm not going to do it. I don't, because there's ways to research and find out and learn for themselves. They really want to know and we want to understand. I'm not about to sit here and give a 35, 40-minute symposium about Blackness and the struggle of being Black. I'm not about to do that. And so I don't in those spaces, I purposely avoid situations where I have to have an ounce of potential clashing, because I don't have time for that. I don't have time for the white tears, white fragility. I don't have time to be made to be the villain of the situation when I'm actually the victim in the situation. I don't have time for that, because they quickly turn it on and turn it off. They know how to turn those white cries on, those white tears on. I don't have time to engage in that. So I don't have time. I don't. We shouldn't have to. We've been living this. We've been living through this for eons. So if they don't get it now, they're not going to get it. And I'm not going to try to force feed or try to browbeat someone that doesn't take the time and does not really genuinely care to understand, because it's pointless.
It's 2022.
Yes.
It is no longer our job to educate white people. It is no longer our job to behave different and unnecessarily switch around white people. Equity has been a thing for a very long time. And I have the right. That's why when I'm in white spaces, if I am annoyed that day, you're going to know I'm annoyed. If I am angry, you're going to know that I'm angry. I am not going to oppress and suppress those feelings because I'm worried about what you think or what that might give off. Yes, I'm angry today. And I have earned the right to be angry today, just like you have, Sheila and Brian and Bobby.
My woman named Sheila.
I'm no longer apologizing.
Wow, those are real specific names.
Wow. Because okay,
very
Sheila. Hey, Sheila.
Specific. I am not going to, I should be able to exist in the space with equity at all times. And if you don't understand that, you're going to fall behind. Because the times are changing. The times are changing. And you have to change with the time, or you are going to be falling behind, and then you're going to grow old to be an old grumpy Trump supporter talking about delusional shit that makes no sense in this present moment in time. And that is what it is. And that's what I tell my nephews. That's what I tell my child. That's what I tell everyone that is Black. Be your true, authentic self within reason again. You know, be your true, authentic self in these white spaces. Be the magical melanated being that you are, and do not think about these things or these isms that we never created, because we've always been amazing. These motherfuckers just catching up today in 2022.
Oh yeah. I agree with that, and I guess with some people, because I've had a conversation where I was in a group of people of color on Clubhouse, and we actually talked about Blackness and about how, workplace, and they said that they go by the stance of basically working within the game, which means that they said they basically would allow themselves to be disrespected because they're afraid of the consequences, so they rather just take the disrespect, suppress it, and move forward. And I was just like, I was blown, because I'm like, there are people like that looks like me and you that thinks like this, that says, okay, well, you know what, I'm not going to make it. I'm not going to use my voice, make my voice heard. I'm just going to deal with it, and it'll get better in time. But I let them know I don't operate that way. Like, I'm going to say what I want to say. You're not going to disrespect me. White. I just can't let a white person.
No, there's no way.
No. So
I think all black people, I think, it is my belief that we have a PhD on implicit bias, on racial bias. We know we pick up that we know that energy, we know that aura, we know that smell. We have like a 10th sense, because we build up more than the senses, the average sense, because of these conditions.
Survival.
And when we sense it, trust me, believe in what you're feeling, believe in what you're experiencing, and do not let people gaslight you into these dumb implicit bias and these bizarre racial biases that these people have created. Moat. Speak. If you are an eloquent person, make sure that you are a machine gun with your words. Make sure that you are a wordsmith.
Be very intentional.
But that's the problem.
Again, that's me. I am purposeful with my language. I am purposeful with my actions. And I am going to call it out. And yes, I'm going to make you uncomfortable. And yes, I'm going to ruffle some feathers. And yes, it's going to bother you. But you're going to get over this shit. You're going to learn today.
They don't speak, but that's the problem. They don't speak. That's the problem. A lot of black people will not speak. They will sit there and allow themselves to be disrespected because they feel that's the only way they can get through, because they're afraid. It's like you have a voice. Let your voice be heard. You can express yourself in an intelligent way to get your point, to let them know that what you're feeling. You can use your voice and allow your voice to be heard, and not tolerate and accept disrespect on any level, in the workplace, outside the workplace. We have the right to express
and give them back their labels. Take off the labels. Those labels were not tattooed on us.
Exactly.
Give them back their labels. Give them back their definition of the magical melanin that we are. We define who we are in the spaces that we are in.
Exactly. Use your voices. We have a voice. It's time for us to use them.
One of my coworkers told me, and they're white. And then there's a certain way that white people have to speak to me, and there's a certain way that melanated people have to speak to me. Now, unfortunately, that's just the rule of the game.
Yeah.
A white person can never tell me, and in general, I don't like when people tell me, you said this. I said, no. You can tell me what you heard. Don't tell me what I said. You can ask me what I said, and I will gladly tell you.
Mm-hmm.
And you have authority over what you heard. You don't have authority on and try to indict me on what you believe I heard. Because again, before you actually hear what I said, there's a lot of implicit bias and racial biases that are blocking your vision and blocking your ears. So you cannot give accurate factual statements because you got work to do.
Hello.
And I told this coworker, and this coworker up to this day has yet to ever say, or even spoken to me again, which is thank God, because they're obnoxious. But they have ever to say, you said. They've come to me when they had to come to me, and they said, oh, well, a couple of weeks ago, I heard you say. I said, there you go, learning, Sheila. There you go.
Oh, Sheila.
I nip it because I sensed it. And it's not us being sensitive, and it's not Black people being sensitive or Black people trying to be politically correct. It's people of color and Black people saying enough is enough.
Exactly.
This babying and carrying, I am not a kangaroo and I don't got a pouch to carry your ass around.
And why and here's the thing, is like, why the right to comfort for you while I am uncomfortable, right? Why do you have the right to comfort? Because I haven't had that right. So why do you? It's just very strange to me sometimes how like it just in that whiteness, like things will just like the stuff. And I was saying this kind of offline, the stuff that will come out of the mouths of some white people where you're just like, did you really you said that? Like, or whatever. And that's why, like, you said that. But no, like the stuff that'll come out of, and you're just like, whoa. But I have to say, that kind of stuff though has caused me to, because I'm going to say something, I don't know if I had said this to you guys before, but I know when we talked about like who we were in high school, I mentioned that I wish I would have valued my Blackness more, right? Mm-hmm. But one of the ways that I feel like that has really expanded in my adulthood is now around obviously around my best friends and stuff like that, but like just, tiers of friends and family members and things like that. Now I'm like, I'm going to be blackety black when I feel like, right? Like I'm going to be blackety black when I feel like being like, when I just all the time, like, why not? Why do I have to code switch this? Why can't I just,
why do you have to tone it down?
Why do I have to, right? Why must I adjust the diction of the word? Like, why must I adjust anything? Why
like,
do
who
you?
the fuck?
You can just
tone it down.
Okay, listen, because I ask you to adjust your passive aggressive tones, do I? So you're going to get this
here. Implicit bias, party of one. Implicit bias, and
right.
And when I pick up on implicit bias, I'd be quick to send you an email at work. And I'd be sending you a definition and sending you links so that I got you.
Oh yeah.
I got you. And we're no longer and if you don't do something about it, the next thing is going to be you're racist. Because remember when we were very cautious before in calling people that? Because we didn't want to hurt people's feelings and we didn't want to hurt our allies. No. There's implicit bias, unfortunately, that we have learned that's been embedded in us because of society. And once it's pointed out to you and you do nothing about it, you're complicit.
And I'm going to say
you like it.
Sorry. I'm going to say something. Here's another thing. Okay. If you call yourself an ally and you become offended by anyone either calling out racism or being diverse or inclusive, newsflash, you're a racist. Sorry.
There we go.
Like,
there we go, ally.
And it doesn't mean that you're a, freaking super right-wing hick from wherever's. What it does mean though is that you have, whether it's inadvertently for you or not, leaned very hard into that little racist, generationally passed down racism. Because here's the other thing, hot take, just like we possess generational trauma from our ancestors and the things that they experienced, so do you as white people. You really think that the racism or implicit bias that you have towards people of color just came from you? No, it came from all the people that came before you.
The other colonizers.
It came from all the other colonizers.
Well, you know what perfectly illustrated implicit bias and a different form of racism? Do you remember Get Out?
Oh yeah.
Hello. Get Out perfectly illustrated.
Actually, literally.
What we Black people, Black men, Black women experience sometimes from white people. And it's just bizarre. So you don't necessarily have to be a hick living in the mountains with no education or no whatever to be racist or be embracing these ideologies. You could be a Harvard professor. You could be a police officer.
You could be the
You could be one of my coworkers.
You could be the president of the United States of America.
Hello.
Oh, you know.
Get
Out was a perfect example. You know, that was a perfect example of all that. Perfect example. And they did it in a way that, you know, people should have understood it, watched it, should have learned from it, should have been informative because it was
but they loved it.
They loved the
sinking place.
It was entertaining.
They loved the sinking place. Oh, did you see how she put him in a sinking place with that spoon, drinking her tea? Like there was a message being told.
It was a message.
And once again, and this is what this podcast and these three melanated men are about. We're not here to comfort your whiteness or your white fragility. We're not here for your white tears. I'm not even going to offer you a tissue for your white tears. I might offer you my cup so that I can drink your white tears. We're speaking facts. We are speaking facts. We are speaking anecdotally. And if you're not embracing that, then you need to self-evaluate and you're a racist.
Period.
And I
racist, yes.
I just want to say that, you know, this podcast for me is, I mean, not to get all like, you know, like sentimental, but for me, it's important because to be able to sit alongside two other Black men and really celebrate our Blackness and center Blackness, because I want to make sure everybody that is listening hears that. This is not about centering you. You are here to listen. You are here to learn. You are here to celebrate with us.
And sometimes to be entertained.
And to be entertained, because you enjoy laughing. But we also want you to understand that we are celebrating and centering Blackness here and how beautiful it is from our experience. Because it is a beautiful thing, even though it has been littered with struggles and strife, it's still a beautiful thing to sit in our Blackness. And so because we're here to celebrate and center that, if you're racist, click it off.
Opt out. Yeah. Remember that thing I posted about being Black? Like we didn't ask to be Black, but we live in that Blackness because Black is what? Black is an adjective, adverb, and
all the above. All the above.
And that's the thing. If what's the word that you said? You don't need to be an ally. You need to be a what?
You need to be a co-conspirator. You do not.
And that's the only kind of people that we want. We want co-conspirators. And if you're not going to be a co-conspirator in the message that we're delivering here, in the entertainment, and the facts that we're providing, and anecdotal things that we're sharing, then you need to opt out. Though the days of white comfort are over.
Oh yeah, we don't do white fragility here. Sorry, y'all.
No.
Yeah.
Because when we express Black discomfort or fragility, oh, that's angry.
That's aggressive.
Can you imagine if we were Black women?
We'll be bitches. We'll be bitches over here. So.
Oh, and by the way, just so y'all know, Black women are the shit.
Period.
.com, .org, all the above.
And we wouldn't be here, the three of us, obviously, but the world, this country will not be where it is today if it wasn't for Black women. Period.
That part.
Bloop, bloop.
Yes. Yes. I think that was a good end.
That's a good way to end this
It
episode.
is.
Black women, we love you, we respect you, we uplift you. You are the bee's knees.
Yes, you are the backbone, neck bone, thigh bone, all the bones. You are it, honey.
The whole body.
Yes, all of it.
So until next time,
Until next
handling
time, folks.
Black people, handle your shit in white spaces.
Yes. Keep that same energy.
Keep that same. You got this.
Period.